Willkommen, bienvenue, welcome once again to another one of my live streams with the incredible Chris Gilsenan, the man at the very coalface of building and development, specifically in social housing, from Root Home. Welcome, Chris.
Hi.
We tend to mull over and talk through things that are either irritating or challenging, shall we put it, within your business and without. And the interesting thing, the topic you want to talk about today is scaling challenges and recruiting, specifically project managers. Now, I'm assuming this is in response to events or situations you found yourself in. Do tell more.
Yeah, sure. So at the moment, we're going through a big capital raise, and as part of that, we're just getting our ducks in a row to start going through a much bigger scaling phase in our business. We've reached a tipping point where we're at the moment we're only a small team. There's only a small handful of us, and we're at capacity, and we need to grow. So we're simply just cannot take on more work without scaling our business at a decent level.
Let me ask you
we have really big
questions.
ambitions.
Before you dig into it, let me ask you a question. How many locations are you currently at at the same time, in tandem, as it were?
We have currently got at least 20 projects on the go.
So you've got 20 projects. So that's 20 groups of people at each project concurrently at the same time, right?
Yeah. So
are,
it's challenging.
are you counting them as members of your overall organization?
Yeah. We're because of our acquisition and growth plans. What we want to do is start to bring people in house. One of the big known unknowns for us at the moment to be able to take us up to 40, 60, 80 projects a year is project managers and contractors.
Right.
At the moment, we're very reliant on external contractors. So that's a challenge in itself. Because obviously these guys, they're self-employed, they're running their own businesses, they've got mouths to feed, and it can be a bit hit and miss in terms of getting them aligned and timeframes all set up so that it works for our business. Which it's understandable. Like I said, they've got their own work on, they've got their own challenges and problems in their lives and running their own operations, and they've got to make sure they've got consistency of income. But for us, we now need to take a stronger grip, I guess, on our operations. And part of doing that is having project managers who they're used to running teams of contractors, teams of builders.
So are you thinking of taking on contractors and builders actually within that as well, under your own umbrella?
At some point down the line, yes, but the first step towards that is having project managers who work with us, probably inside our business. For me, the perfect project manager is someone who's probably an ex-joiner or a current joiner, probably getting into their 40s, 50s, getting a bit bored of working on the tools, probably started their own joinery business or looking to do other stuff. But the reason I'm specifically targeting joiners is because they are on site at every point through a project. So they know the way a project is meant to fit together because they've lived it, they know it. So they see when the plasterer is meant to be coming in, when the sparky is meant to be coming in, when the plumber is meant to be coming in, and which stages they should be back on site, and who's meant to be coming next in that process. So a joiner is like the top dog, I guess, in terms of best fit for becoming a project manager.
A joiner that's the best fit, no pun intended. All right, so look, so what strikes me is you're really looking for a man manager who has skills, and who has manual skills as well. Someone who, as you say, has lived it, but also has the ability to manage people. You don't always find the two live together comfortably, do you?
Not necessarily, no. So that's, I guess we're looking for someone who's looking for a different change in what they have been doing, but in the same industry, in a level, having a level of experience that like I say, it's lived experience. That it's for me, it's most crucial. It's most important that people know what they're doing and have had that experience. But you're absolutely right. They've got to get on with people. They've got to know how to rub shoulders with people, how to encourage them to.
How to get the best out of them.
Yeah. So I know we were talking last week off air about where you've scaled your team to.
Right.
So I'd be interested to know how you've gone about that and the growing pains that you've gone through.
All right. You're putting me center stage. All right. Okay, I can do that. So when we started, it was 2 people. It was one person, Anger, who you know well, and his focus was a bit of everything. But I perceived very rapidly that we needed to scale so that I could divvy out the time that's required to each client without any of the other clients feeling like they're losing emphasis or not getting the promotion they require. Because, guys, if you don't already, many Purple Hats is about promoting people on LinkedIn and drawing more people in towards it because of that. So my focus then was, who can I find that will support his efforts in a general way? So I wanted a Girl Friday for him, someone who can do a bit of this, a bit of that, allowing him to do the expert work. So whatever. But what that's morphed into is I ended up getting an extra designer who works directly underneath him, a lady who is his general lady called Lulu, who does a bit of this and a bit of that, mostly writing out emails or responding to this or monitoring that. I end up bringing in 2 data scrapers, the people who are hunting down who are the ideal clients and building that. So each of them ended up with 3 teams, effectively, with Anger at the top of the tree, monitoring each of their process. So he ended up being less, to use the analogy, less on the tools and more being a project manager. Although he's still very much at the forefront on basic on intricate design or logo design and things like that. So we've ended up with 3 teams. We've got the data scrape team, we've got the design team, and we've got the copywriting and etc. team, which Anger pretty much inhabits within. But to get there, we did it in small steps. So we brought on the first lady, who was to his right hand lady. And then once we got beyond 6 or 7 clients concurrently, we realized we needed people to be able to do design work when he was focusing on working with her. So that's when we brought the first designer on. Then it became patently obvious that we needed a second one because the load on the design work increased. So we created a separate design team. But the problem is, behind all this, I'm trying to make sure that I can be extricated so that I don't have to be in every meeting and I don't have to be managing them. So they need to become a level of self-governance. Now that takes a kind of personality to do that. And so when you're looking for these people, I guess you're not simply looking to see how expert they are at being a joiner or even how good they are at getting on with people down the pub. They need to be kind of light the fire under their own arse to get on with it, so you don't have to check in with them every 5 minutes.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I'm definitely. It's one of the things I'm definitely conscious of. Actually, removing myself from the process as much as possible. And at the moment, I'm hugely involved in many of the processes.
Just before we came on air, guys, Chris said, "I've got a whole pile of calls and things to do today. Some which letting people down, some people asking further questions, some people bringing them on, whatever." And that speaks to the fact that you are still a man wearing a lot of hats, and I could talk from experience.
We are literally recruiting right now for someone to manage some of our sales enquiries processes. So yeah, that's ongoing as we speak. And again, another element that I'm doing a huge amount of at the moment. Sales admin seems to be taking a huge amount of my time.
Well, it just goes to show, and you've got to feel your way through. We tried a process with you earlier in the year to try and encourage that, which didn't work so well. But there was no way to tell that because we worked with another building developer, which has worked supremely for. You can never tell, and it's the different marketplaces until you try it out. You never work, and I suspect there are elements of suck it and see, but there are also some of them you can learn from experience, so you know what bits work better than others. It's finding the people and the attitude to match, wouldn't you say? That's the hard thing. It's almost it's trapping the unicorn. That's what we're looking for here.
It's incredibly difficult, and knowing obviously people have their lives that they're living every day, and it's how you then track these people down and find them and have the conversations and build the relationships with them, and figure out whether it is someone you'd like to work with on an ongoing basis.
I mean, I suspect I'm not in any way belittling any of these jobs. I'm saying overall, it's not a high level of project management expertise that's required. What is required is a bit of everything, but with the overall maturity, which can only be got from years of experience, I guess, to roll with the punches, know when to march forward and say, right, you need to do this way, or stop doing, or to when to let people have the reins so they can get on doing what they're best at. So you don't need a micromanager. You don't need someone who's standing over and looking over everybody's shoulder as they do their work. But by the same token, you need someone who knows when to crack the whip and when to hand out the carrots, if you know.
Yeah, that's right. And builders are an interesting bunch anyway, because they're not going to take any shit. If you've got someone coming in barking orders at them, they'll just down tools and get off site. They're not interested in being told what to do.
Right.
So
so they need to work with rather than work over. It's that curious mix, and also I suppose, dare I say it, if they've already got that experience and they're, say, well known in the trade for being a joiner for 30 years, if they're well known as having expertise, that will immediately enable them to get a level of respect with the people they're helping manage, which is going to make that job that much easier, because rather than how dare them, they say we need to do this by such and such a date, they'll realize that they perhaps have calculated that if they don't do this, they'll run out of whatever that is. It will enable them to do their job better. Absolutely.
There's always ways to positively incentivize people rather than just try and crack the whip, which is most people they don't really respond well to anyway. So it's
very short. I think it's very short-termist. That I dare I say it, in a previous existence, when I was managing a team, I did try for a month to do the cracking the whip nonsense, but I managed to get 2 out of my 27 team at the time. I was a CTO of a tech company, and we had 27 salespeople, and I said, you need to get this done by such and such a date, or your bonuses could be affected. And 1 or 2 people reacted, but almost nobody else did. So instead, I turned it around and saying there'll be incentives along the way as you achieve each of these goals. And suddenly there was a rush of improvement. So I'm not saying that always works, but I'm saying you've kind of got to cut your cloth according to what you've got available to you. And I mean, so now, I mean, let me give some figures. How many workmen typically work on a particular project for you at any one time?
There's between about 5 and 7 people on site at any time, really.
I mean, and is that's 5 or 7 people out of a pool of how many? I mean, do they vary depending on what the so sparks could be predominantly there, as opposed to one day it could be someone who's doing, I don't know, drywalls or putting up stud walls or something.
Yeah, that's right, and it differs between geographic locations. The number of projects we've got on in different places as well. So we are covering the whole northwest. So it's a big patch anyway.
So notionally, the same sparks could be working on a whole bunch of different projects.
That's right. So we've got a number of things in wire at the moment. So those are all upcoming projects. But I think we've got about 7 different projects, all conversions of resis into houses of multiple occupancy. So that will keep teams in constant rotation as they go through these different projects.
So is there a level? Well, there will be, I suspect, once you've completed your recruitment, although I suspect it'll be ongoing. But when you've done this current round of recruitment, there will be in these teams a level of predictability about where they're going to be, how long they're going to be needed for, and so on. I mean, I know there'll be odd screw-ups whereby you go there thinking you've predicted a day's work, and in fact, it looks like it's going to be 3 days' work. that happens all the time, and I'm sure you're well used to it. But
Yeah,
but as far as the people who are going to end up working within the team, they should be able to predict their lives and by logical extension predict their income.
Very much so. Yeah, very much so. Yeah, it's a very consistent pattern, and my responsibility as the business owner is making sure that there is that consistency of workflow coming through. And like I say, we're now at this tipping point where we need these people in our team.
Gosh, yes, because otherwise, this is the very problem I had. I've got potential clients coming in, but I know if I take them on, I'm not going to be able to service them adequately.
Yeah.
So we need to build up the team at the back end to be able to adequately service the demand. Chris, it's been, as usual, an eye-opener. It's interesting to see the parallels between two completely different kinds of business, but the same expansion issues, the same capacity issues still outlined. I think anybody listening probably can it will probably resonate with them as well.
Yeah, sure.
But let's leave on a high note. You are recruiting, and it's towards a buzzing, happy future, because at the moment, dare I say it, you've got a lot of clients on the go, and there's more in the wings, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We're, like I say, we're scaling. We are trying to aim for around about 100 projects ourselves on an annual basis.
All right, so guys, look, if this intrigues you, Chris is always up for providing advice on what it's like to do this. If you're interested in investing in this sort of thing, Chris's stuff absolutely provides a solid ROI, so it's worth having a chat to him. But if you are too scared to approach Chris, or haven't been able to, just approach me and I'll connect you up anyway. Chris, has been an absolute pleasure. Shameless plug, you can also see Chris every earlier in the day at 10 o'clock on Thursdays at Property Quorum, which has become very popular recently. Please do tune in, 10 o'clock Property Quorum. You'll be able to find the booking link. We'll put it in later. We've got a lot of great Property Quorums coming up. And of course, I also have with Amish McClay on Fridays, Property Matters. But until next week, Chris, thank you for this little education there, and I wish all of you a wonderful week, and of course a great mental health. Bye bye now.